What if the first war ever fought on American soil wasn't between men at all? They taught us the revolution was won with muskets and courage, that the forests were just another battlefield. But those who marched through them wrote something different in their journals, something no textbook ever mentioned, a sound that followed them for miles, footsteps heavier than horses, shapes watching from the fog, too tall, too still, to be human. Centuries later, those same woods still whisper the same name, the Giants. In 1984, deep inside Ohio's Iron Hollow, a U.S. Army Ranger unit vanished from radio contact during a night exercise. When they came back online 23 minutes later, they refused to speak about what happened. Only one phrase was logged in the after-action report: Unconfirmed Humanitarian Contact. That file was buried. But the evidence wasn't, because from colonial diaries to modern Ranger tapes, the same pattern keeps surfacing. The same terrain, the same impossible footprints, the same silence that falls right before something moves. Tonight, we're reopening that file, following a trail from the revolutionary frontier to the forests our satellites still avoid, to find out what America might have fought and what might still be watching us from the trees. Before we move on, a quick thank you. Your support on the last few investigations was incredible and keeps this channel running. But here's the strange part. More than 80% of you watching right now aren't subscribed. If you like real military encounters, hidden files, and the history no one talks about, hit subscribe. Drop your theory about America's giants in the comments, and let's see if your thoughts connect with mine. What's coming next isn't legend or rumor. It's documented, classified, and buried under the same forests soldiers still patrol. Now, boots in the leaves, radios cold, and an old map no one trains on anymore. Late fall, southeastern Ohio. The kind of cold that doesn't bite, it creeps. 5 Rangers moved through the ridges of Iron Hollow, boots sinking into damp leaves, every step swallowed by fog. No chatter, no lights. It was a silent navigation drill. No live rounds, just compasses, maps, and low-power radios. Routine. At least, that's what it was supposed to be. The forest around them was wrong. No wind, no crickets, no distant creek. Just stillness, like the air itself was holding its breath. Sergeant Hale took point, the kind of man who didn't believe in superstition, only patterns. But this silence, it wasn't natural. He slowed his pace, raised a hand for the others to stop. In the mist ahead, the ground darkened with mud from last night's rain. That's when they saw it. A footprint, bare, 14 inches from heel to toe. A 40-inch stride to the next one. Too wide for a boot. Too deep for a man. Hale crouched beside it. The edges were crisp, fresh. Steam still lifted from the track, faint but visible in his flashlight's filtered beam. Could be a prank? Someone whispered behind him. Hale didn't answer. There were no tire marks, no boot prints, no trail leading in or out. Whatever made it had come straight out of the woods and vanished the same way. They logged the coordinates, kept moving east. As they pushed deeper, the fog thickened. It clung to their gear, muffled every sound. Their radios crackled once, then went dead again. Just static. The compasses began to drift, needles twitching left and right like something magnetic was buried below. The slope ahead was steep, the soil slick. Hale took it slow, scanning the tree line. Then he saw it. An oak limb snapped clean about 8 feet off the ground. Not torn, not storm damage, twisted. Bark spiraled where it had been wrenched until it split. He ran a glove along the tear. The fibers were still damp. Whatever had done it had been here recently, and it hadn't used tools. The team regrouped. Hale radioed in a signal check. Nothing. Static again. He looked back and saw the youngest of them. Kellen, pale, eyes darting into the trees. "You good?" Hale asked quietly. Kellen nodded, though his hands were trembling. "Feels like we're being watched," he muttered. They continued another 100 yards. Then, something moved. No shape, no figure. Just the suggestion of motion in the mist, 50 feet ahead. A shift in the fog's density, the faintest outline of a shoulder. Or maybe a head. Hale froze. The others followed, forming a line. No one breathed. The figure vanished into the gray. Seconds stretched. Then a sound, soft, deliberate. A rock hitting the ground near the point man's boot. No arc, no source. It just landed. Hale's jaw tightened. He scanned the ridge, raised his weapon out of habit, even though it was unloaded. "Eyes up," he whispered. They advanced cautiously, every sense sharpened. The forest seemed alive now, but not in a way anyone wanted. The fog rolled in heavier, pressing against their faces, muting everything but the sound of their own boots. Then came another sign. A tree trunk, clawed, not like an animal. Parallel gouges, each about 3 inches apart, deep and deliberate. The bark peeled outward, as if something massive had gripped it and pulled. "Bear?" Kellen whispered. Hale shook his head. Bears don't walk 40-inch strides. They reached a small clearing, ringed by limestone boulders slick with moss. The air here felt charged, like the seconds before a lightning strike. The compasses spun freely now, needles circling. Hale knelt and touched the ground, still warm in patches, like something heavy had just passed through. From somewhere deeper in the ridge came a single sound. A knock, hard, hollow, wood striking wood. Every ranger looked up. Another knock answered from farther off, then silence again. Hale exhaled slowly, steady but alert. "We move in pairs?" he ordered. "Stay tight. No lights unless I say." As they adjusted formation, the fog parted just enough for one of them to see it, something massive slipping between 2 trees, tall enough that its shoulders brushed the low branches. No face, no color, just mass. By the time Hale turned, it was gone. He called for a regroup at Waypoint Delta, but the radio stayed dead. They'd gone less than a mile, yet the forest had folded in around them like a maze. The ground trembled once, barely. A vibration through the mud, subtle but definite. Kellen swallowed hard. "Earthquake?" "Not here," Hale said. They began to backtrack, using the terrain markers they'd set earlier. But the markers were gone. Sticks they'd planted snapped clean in half, one by one. That's when Hale realized they weren't navigating anymore. They were being herded. He didn't say it out loud. He just motioned forward, jaw set. The forest closed behind them, fog sealing their trail like it had never existed. And somewhere in the mist, that same hollow knock came again, closer this time. History books don't talk about what came before the colonies. But every tribe that lived on this land had a name for them. Different languages, same descriptions, same fear. The Delaware and Lenape spoke of the Alegui, or Aleguipo, giants who built fortifications along the Ohio and Mississippi rivers long before the first settlers arrived. Their cities stretched across the valleys, massive earthworks and mounds still visible today. The stories say the Alegui were driven west after a long war, and that some survived, hiding deep within the untouched forests. Farther south, the Choctaw called them the Nahulo, pale-skinned, cannibal giants who hunted men. The Okla people fled underground into a sacred mound called Nani Waiya, waiting for years before emerging to strike back with poison-tipped darts, driving the Nahulo away for good. Across the continent, the Paiute tribe spoke of the Site Sa, red-haired, flesh-eating giants who terrorized their ancestors near Nevada's Great Basin. The Paiutes finally cornered them inside a cave, piled brush at the entrance, and set it ablaze. When archaeologists excavated that same cave centuries later, they found split bones, marrow removed, and tools far larger than any human hand could use. Different tribes, different centuries, same silhouette, towering, human-shaped, and far too real to ignore. And an iron hollow, where the fog was closing in and the compass spun wild. That same silhouette finally stepped into view. The fog in Iron Hollow thickened until it felt like a wall. Every breath the rangers took came back warm and damp, like the forest itself was exhaling around them. Hale raised his thermal scope, scanning the ridgeline ahead. For a second, just a flicker, the screen caught heat, an upright shape crossing the saddle between two rises. Tall, slow, measured. The stride was long, unhurried. No gear outline, no weapon, no pack. Just a single moving mass. He blinked, checked again. The heat signature faded into static. "Movement at 12 o'clock, he whispered. No one replied. The fog swallowed his words before they could travel. They advanced in silence, boots sinking into the loam. That's when they found it. A small clearing surrounded by laurel thickets, barely wide enough for a campfire. At the center, a crude setup. 3 smoker sticks wedged in a triangle, still faintly warm. Beside them, a torn canvas strip, the corner of a weathered tin cup, and something else. Half of a wool blanket, the faded U.S. stamp still visible beneath a layer of grime. It wasn't new gear. The stitching, the style. It looked military, but old. Vietnam era, maybe earlier. Hale crouched, gloved fingers hovering over the fabric. The edges were dry, but the ground beneath was damp, as if someone had just taken it and left. The air shifted, branches creaked. From somewhere in the ridge above, a small rock tumbled down, landing just short of the fire pit. No throw, no arc, just impact. The team froze.
Maybe they just stepped out for more firewood.
Yeah. Let's hope they don't mind us borrowing their campsite.
If they come back, I'm letting you explain.
Kellen's voice came low, almost trembling. We're not tracking a bear. Hale's eyes never left the tree line. Then what leaves toes like fingers? He adjusted his rifle grip, though it was unloaded. Something that decided we're worth watching. No one spoke again. They decided to shadow, not chase. Whatever was ahead, it was moving with intent, not panic. The fog rolled in thicker, forcing them into a single-file crawl through the laurel. Each branch seemed to pull them back, as if the forest wanted to slow them down. Hale motioned for a stop. He listened. Nothing. Not even birds now. Then, click. A sharp, deliberate sound from behind them, like stone tapping stone. 2 seconds later, another click, closer, almost mimicking the first. The team turned in unison. Nothing there but fog and tree trunks. "Signal?" one of them mouthed. Hale didn't answer. He had heard of that sound before. Wood knock communications used by tribal scouts, or maybe something older. A warning or a test. They pressed on. The laurel thinned into a slope leading to a stream. The mud was churned, scattered with fresh prints. Some human, some not. That's when they saw the trail overlap. A boot print, half erased, cut directly across one of the massive bare tracks. The boot looked newer, probably a size 10, standard issue. But the stride beneath it was deeper, heavier. Whatever made that larger track had passed through after the boot, and between both prints, a faint red smear, blood. Hale crouched again, brushing a glove over it. The mud was tacky, still wet. It hadn't dried. He scanned the trail ahead, where both paths vanished into a narrow draw lined with rock. "Someone else out here," he murmured. The team adjusted formation, weapons raised though they knew they were blanks. They moved slower now. Controlled steps, eyes sweeping every shadow. Kellen tapped Hale's shoulder and pointed. A tree trunk 30 yards ahead bore fresh scratches, deep gouges cutting clean through bark into the pale wood beneath. The marks weren't random, they were symmetrical, deliberate, like tally marks. 5 deep cuts. The fog swirled, parting just enough for Hale to glimpse a figure between the trees. Broad shoulders, low posture, still as a stone. For an instant, it seemed to breathe with the forest. Then, it stepped back and disappeared again. Every radio flared alive at once, brief static bursts, no words. The forest echoed one final click, sharp and hollow. Hale swallowed, steadying his voice. "Stay close." And somewhere up ahead, beyond the ridge and the stream, something moved again. Slow, certain, unafraid. The feeling hit all of them at once. This wasn't a chase. It was a meeting that had already been decided. Long before Iron Hollow, soldiers on this land wrote things no military report could explain. In frontier journals from the late 1700s, there are quiet lines that don't sound like war at all. Men describing footsteps that followed their camps through the night. Steps not of man nor beast. Others spoke of hollow trees used as graves, bones stacked inside like warnings, and strange mounds along the river bends built higher than any fort they knew how to make. One lieutenant near the Ohio River wrote that his company camped near a hill made by giants, and that the ground trembled after dark, as if something moved beneath it. Further west, Spanish records from Lompoc, California, mention an oversized sarcophagus uncovered by missionaries. Inside were relics, weapons too large for a man's grip, and a skull with double rows of teeth. Local reports from decades later repeated the same details, different witnesses, same description. The pattern never broke. Every new frontier brought the same quiet evidence, the same fear buried under duty. And now, centuries later, the rangers of Iron Hollow were walking the same ground, the same soil that once swallowed soldiers whole, leaving only their words to warn whoever came next. What happened in the basin wasn't new. It matched records that never made it to the public. Classified reports filed under Unconfirmed Humanitarian Contact. Across decades of ranger field notes, the same details repeat. 14-inch plaster casts, stride lengths of 40 inches, saplings twisted, not cut. Structures built from stacked stone and laurel limbs. Every report described a massive upright figure, but never aggression, only observation. Teams were told to log artifacts, photograph prints, and clear the area. Everything else was collected, labeled, and shipped to storage. The pattern isn't random. Tracing it on a map forms a line, east to west. The Allegui from the Ohio valleys, the Nahulo driven south by the Choctaw, the Siteka burned from the caves of Nevada. Different eras, same migration path, ending again in modern Ohio, right where Iron Hollow sits today. Not a myth, a remnant, something that's been retreating for centuries, hunted, cornered, and hiding in the last unbroken forests we still have. The evidence was always there. We just stopped asking who it belonged to. The debrief room hummed with the constant buzz of fluorescent lights. Mud still clung to their boots, drying into pale crusts that flaked across the floor. No one spoke. Not really. The kind of silence that comes when everyone's trying to convince themselves they saw nothing unusual. The tapes were collected first. Film canisters, log sheets, anything with coordinates. A captain in plain uniform, no name tag, took them, said it was now under review. When Hale asked what that meant, the Maine replied without looking up. Non-standard civilian encounter. Training anomaly. That was the last official sentence any of them heard about Iron Hollow. A week later, the sector was reclassified as restricted watershed. On the new maps, the basin didn't exist anymore. Just a blank green contour where the coordinates used to be. Still, Hale couldn't let it go. He'd kept one thing hidden, a hand-drawn grid from his field notebook. A single pencil X marked the spot of the first print. Every night since, he'd look at it, trying to convince himself it was just mud, just luck, just survival. 3 weeks later, he went back. Not close, just a high ridge overlooking the hollow. Dawn light, fog moving like smoke. Through the laurel below, something glided between the trees. Tall, pale, slow. Then the fog closed, and it was gone. Some wars end on paper. Others wait in the tree line. People always ask for explanations, and maybe there are some. Not the kind that solve everything, but the kind that make the silence a little easier to understand. The first theory comes from anthropology. What if these weren't monsters, but survivors? A remnant of an archaic hominid species, adapted to the deepest hardwood forests, nocturnal, cave-dwelling, using wood knocks and stone clicks to communicate. They wouldn't need technology or firelight, just distance. A few family groups scattered across the country, moving as civilization expanded, hiding where the map still folds. It sounds impossible, until you realize we found new species with smaller populations on islands barely a mile wide. The second explanation is cultural. Every tribe from the Ohio valleys to the Great Basin told the same story with different names. Allegui, Nahulo, Siteka. That kind of consistency doesn't happen by chance. Shared encounters, retold through generations, reshaped into myth once the sightings stopped. Or maybe the sightings never really stopped. We just changed what we called them. And then there's the military angle. Not aliens, not conspiracies, just control. When something unexplained risks panic, it gets classified, renamed, and forgotten. Restricted areas, watershed zones, closed trails. not to hide the truth, but to keep the public away from it. Believe what you will. Some explanations fit science, some fit survival, and some just sit between both, waiting in the trees. Night settles again over Iron Hollow. The forest breathes, slow, heavy, alive. A single wood knock echoes across the ridge, sharp, hollow, deliberate. Seconds later, another answers from deeper in the valley. Silence follows. The air hums the same way it did that night. Wet earth, faint static, something unseen watching from behind the trees. Somewhere beyond the basin, water still trickles through the chute that saved them. The maps say it's just runoff, but the sound feels rhythmic, like breathing. Hale's voice breaks softly in memory. He said the forest never wanted to hurt them, it only wanted them gone before the flood. And maybe he was right. We call it wilderness because we think we conquered it. We name it, map it, fence it, and claim victory over it. But maybe that was never our win to claim. We said we won the wilderness. Maybe the wilderness let us stay. That's all for this episode. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching and being part of Wartime Phantoms. Your support keeps these stories alive, the ones history tried to bury. So, if you enjoyed this episode, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment below. Tell me what you think really happened out there in Iron Hollow. Was it survival, a warning, or something much older keeping watch? I read every comment. Your theories, your questions. They shape what we uncover next. Stay alert, stay curious, and remember, not every war ends when the reports say it does. Until next time, Wartime Phantoms, over and out.